Is your home prepared for what is coming in the next 72 hours? Because right now, as you are watching this, Eastern Scotland is bracing for something we have not seen in months: 120 millimetres of rain. That is nearly 5 inches falling on already saturated ground. And that is just the beginning. What you are about to hear might change your plans for the rest of this week. Stay with me, because at the 30-second mark, I am going to reveal which areas will see the worst flooding risk, and you need to know if your postcode is in the danger zone. An amber rain warning is now in force, not yellow. Amber. That means the Met Office expects significant disruption to daily life. We are talking about parts of Aberdeen, Perth, and Kinross, where rainfall totals will build relentlessly through to the end of this week. But here is what most weather forecasts are not telling you. This is not just rain. Over the Grampians, this rain will turn to snow, 300 to 400 meters elevation, and we will start seeing accumulation. That is right around 1,000 to 1,300 feet for those who prefer the old measurements. And when you mix heavy rain in the valleys with snow on the higher ground, you create a dangerous cocktail of conditions. Comment below right now and tell me where you are watching from. Tell me your town, your city, your village, because I want to make sure you get the specific forecast information for your exact location. The weather patterns we are seeing this week affect different regions in completely different ways, and you deserve to know exactly what is heading your way. Now, those onshore southeasterly winds. This is critical. These winds are not just bringing rain. They are bringing the risk of large waves battering our eastern coastline. If you live anywhere near the North Sea coast, you need to be aware of this. Coastal roads could see spray and debris. Low-lying coastal areas face potential flooding from wave overtopping. This is not the time for a scenic coastal walk. Everywhere else across the country, outbreaks of rain for most of us. Heavy showers are already moving into southwestern areas as we speak. There is a clearer slot developing across the far southwest this evening, but for the vast majority of the United Kingdom, this is going to be a cloudy and damp day. No two ways about it. The feel of the day is changing too. Eastern coastal areas are starting to pick up those easterly winds, creating a slightly fresher, some would say chillier feel. These easterly winds, they are going to become a much bigger feature as we head towards the weekend. Mark my words on that. We will come back to the weekend forecast, and what I am about to tell you at the 3-minute 20-second mark will surprise you. But temperatures? Actually just above average for most areas. Very similar to what we experienced yesterday. In fact, the winds are a little bit lighter across more western areas, which is a small mercy. But do not let that fool you into thinking this is just another January day. As we move into this evening, the rain continues its relentless assault across northern parts of Scotland. That snow I mentioned, it is starting to fall right now at around 300 to 400 meters elevation. By Friday morning, we are going to see that snow starting to accumulate. Roads across the Grampians could become treacherous. If you have travel plans through that region on Friday, you need to be rethinking them right now. A drier slot will spread into parts of Wales and central areas of England. Sounds like good news, right? Well, here is the catch. With clearer skies, we could see mist and fog developing by Friday morning. And fog in January, that can be thick, persistent, and dangerous for drivers. Visibility could drop to less than 100 meters in the worst affected areas. But wait, behind that drier slot, the next area of low pressure is already queuing up. This system is set to bring a very wet and windy day on Friday to the southwest, and it will arrive by Friday morning. We are watching the system very carefully because it has the potential to bring some surprisingly strong winds. With those clearer skies around tonight, temperatures are going to fall away. We are looking at temperatures close to 4 or 5 degrees Celsius quite widely to start the day on Friday. That is about 39 to 41 degrees Fahrenheit. Combined with those easterly winds, it is going to bring quite a cold feel, particularly to parts of Scotland. If you are still watching, you are getting the full picture that most people will miss. Do not skip ahead now, because what happens on Friday is only part of the story. The weekend pattern is even more complex, and I will get to that in just a moment. Friday is shaping up to be pretty miserable, particularly for northeastern areas of Scotland where that yellow rainfall warning remains in force. Notice I said yellow for Friday, but we currently have amber for the period leading up to Friday. That tells you the intensity is slightly easing, but the rain is not stopping. The ground is saturated, rivers are full. Every additional millimeter of rain increases the flood risk. Meanwhile, that area of low pressure I mentioned pushes a band of rain northwards across the country. Showers will break out here and there. Some brighter spells will develop, yes, and there is a risk of these showers being quite heavy. But here is what concerns me most. It is actually the winds around this area of low pressure that could cause problems. Particularly across parts of Cornwall, winds could be quite strong. Now, we are not talking about named storm conditions, but we could see gusts reaching 40 to 50 miles per hour in exposed coastal locations. That is strong enough to affect high-sided vehicles, bring down small branches, and make driving conditions challenging. There will be a little bit more drier weather by Friday afternoon, I will give you that. But the word to keep in mind is unsettled. It stays unsettled. And Friday will feel fresher than Thursday. When I say fresher, I mean it will feel colder, especially in that wind. Now, remember, I promised you information about the weekend at 3 minutes, 20 seconds. We are almost there. But first, let me paint the complete picture of what is driving all of this weather chaos. We have got multiple low-pressure systems tracking across the Atlantic. They are queuing up like airplanes waiting to land at Heathrow. Each one brings its own package of rain, wind, and unsettled conditions. The jet stream is positioned right across the United Kingdom, acting like a conveyor belt, bringing these systems to our shores one after another. Comment below and let me know if you have already seen flooding in your area this week. Let me know if drains are struggling to cope. This information helps build a picture of how prepared our infrastructure is for what is still to come. Here is what makes this week particularly challenging. It is not one big storm. It is the persistence. Day after day of rain, ground that cannot absorb any more water, rivers that are already running high. This is when we see flood warnings start to appear, and some areas may already have them in force. Southern areas stay unsettled as we head into the weekend. But those easterly winds, they become more dominant across northern areas. This creates a split in our weather pattern. The north deals with cold easterly winds bringing wintry showers to exposed coasts. The south continues to see those Atlantic systems bringing rain and stronger winds. Scotland in particular faces a challenging few days. That amber warning for Aberdeen, Perth, and Kinross is not issued lightly. The Met Office only issues amber warnings when they expect significant impacts. We are talking about flooding of homes and businesses, fast-flowing or deep floodwater causing danger to life, delays and cancellations to train and bus services, spray and flooding leading to difficult driving conditions, and some road closures. Some communities could be cut off by flooded roads, over 120 millimetres. Think about that for a moment. That is more than the average rainfall for the entire month of January falling in just a few days. On ground that has already seen plenty of rain in recent weeks. The soil is saturated. There is nowhere for this water to go except into rivers, streams, and unfortunately into some properties. If you live in the affected areas, now is the time to take action. Check your drains and gutters are clear. Move valuables upstairs if you are in a flood risk area. Know where your important documents are. Have a torch and batteries ready. Make sure your mobile phone is charged. These sound like basic steps, but in the middle of a flood situation, you will be glad you prepared. For those with livestock or animals, make sure they have access to higher ground. Farmers in eastern Scotland need to be particularly vigilant over the next 72 hours. The Grampians snow situation adds another layer of complexity. Snow at 300 to 400 metres means the main mountain passes could see significant accumulations. The A9, the A93, these routes could face disruption. We might see snow gates closed if conditions deteriorate significantly. What about next week? Some of you are probably already planning ahead, looking at calendars, wondering if you need to reschedule appointments or journeys. The honest answer is the models are showing some backtracking. What looked like a potential cold snap early next week is now looking less certain. But the unsettled theme continues. We are not seeing any strong signals for prolonged settled weather. No blocking high-pressure systems parking themselves over the United Kingdom and giving us that cold, crisp, sunny January weather. Instead, we continue to see low pressure as the dominant feature. This is the reality of our current weather pattern. It is changeable, it is unsettled, and it requires you to stay informed. Checking the forecast once at the start of the week is not enough. You need to check every day because these systems can intensify, slow down, or speed up. Those of you along the North Sea coast, from Aberdeenshire down through Angus Fife, even down to Northumberland and Yorkshire, those easterly winds will be a feature for several days. Onshore winds mean the air is coming straight off the cold North Sea. Even if the thermometer says 5 or 6 degrees, it will feel colder than that. Wind chill is a real factor. Add in rain or showers, and the feels like temperature drops even further. This is when you need extra layers. This is when that waterproof jacket needs to be properly waterproof, not just showerproof. The southwest, particularly Cornwall and Devon, watch those winds on Friday. The area of low pressure tracking through will bring a period of strong winds. 40 to 50 mile per hour gusts are disruptive. Secure garden furniture. Check fence panels. Make sure wheelie bins are not going to end up in your neighbour's garden or worse, out in the road. Wales sees a mixed bag. The drier slot Thursday night into Friday morning is good news, but it brings that fog risk. Friday daytime brings showers, some heavy. The weekend continues unsettled. The Brecon beacons could see some snow on the highest peaks, but it is unlikely to be significant or cause major disruption. Central and eastern England, you are in a slightly better position than Scotland, but do not think you are escaping unscathed. Outbreaks of rain continue, some heavy showers. It is a case of the umbrella being your constant companion for the next few days. Roads will be wet, spray will be an issue on motorways, and driving conditions will require extra care and attention. London and the southeast, you will see periods of rain, showers, and some brighter spells. The winds pick up at times, particularly Friday into the weekend. Not as windy as the southwest, but breezy enough to be noticeable. Temperatures remain around average, but again, with wind and rain, it will feel on the cool side. Northern Ireland sits in an interesting position. You will catch the edges of these weather systems. Rain at times, some heavy showers, but also some drier interludes. The winds will be noticeable, but generally not as strong as other western coastal areas. It is that typical changeable January weather, but perhaps not quite as relentless as Scotland is experiencing. Let me bring this back to that key message. 120 millimeters of rain, amber warning, multiple low pressure systems. This is a significant weather event for parts of Scotland, and it is happening right now. If you have not already done so, comment below with your location. Tell me where you are. Tell me what conditions you are seeing right now. Are the roads wet? Is it raining? Can you hear wind? Building a picture of what is happening on the ground in real time helps everyone understand the situation better. The snow over the Grampians is not just a footnote. This could lead to some spectacular winter scenery, yes, but it also brings hazards. 300 meters is not particularly high. Popular walking areas will be affected. Mountain rescue teams are already on alert. If you are planning any hill walking or mountain activities in the Scottish Highlands this week, seriously reconsider. Conditions will be challenging at best, dangerous at worst. That combination of rain turning to snow creates slushy, icy conditions. Not pure snow that you can walk or drive on with appropriate equipment, but that horrible mixture that is slippery, wet, and difficult to deal with. Roads can quickly become impassable. Friday afternoon into Friday evening, that is when the southwest sees the strongest winds. If you are in Cornwall, Devon, or even parts of Somerset and Dorset, be prepared for a rough few hours. The rain will be heavy at times too. Surface water on roads will be an issue. Spray from other vehicles on the motorway will reduce visibility. The thing about low pressure systems is they can develop quickly. A shower can intensify into a heavy downpour in minutes. What looks like a gap in the rain can close up quickly as the next band moves in. This is why I keep emphasizing staying up to date with the forecast. Your plans for the weekend might need to be flexible. That outdoor event, have a backup plan. That long drive to visit family, check the forecast for both your starting point and your destination. Leave extra time. Expect delays. As we look toward next week, and I know some of you are already thinking that far ahead, the signals are mixed. What we can say with confidence is that settled weather is not on the horizon. More low pressure systems are likely. More rain. Temperatures probably staying around or just above average for late January. The models were showing a potential for colder weather early next week, but they have backtracked on that. This is why forecasting beyond 3 or 4 days becomes increasingly uncertain. The atmosphere is chaotic. Small changes in one system can have large impacts downstream. But for the next 72 hours, we have high confidence. Eastern Scotland, you are in for a wet and at times wintry period. Amber warning in force for very good reasons. Please take it seriously. The rest of Scotland, northern England, you will see plenty of rain too. It might not reach amber warning criteria, but it is still going to be wet and unpleasant. Wales, southwest England, you have got those strong winds to contend with on Friday. Central and eastern areas of England, it is the persistence of the unsettled weather that will wear you down. Northern Ireland, you will see your share of rain and showers, but perhaps not quite as intense or persistent as other areas. Those easterly winds becoming established across northern areas for the weekend is significant. It changes the feel. It brings a different character to the weather. Wintry showers on the North Sea coast. A colder feel despite temperatures not being particularly low on the thermometer. The jet stream position is key to understanding all of this. It is positioned across the United Kingdom, and that is why we keep seeing these low-pressure systems tracking our way. Until the jet stream shifts position significantly, we will continue to see this unsettled pattern. Some of you might be wondering about February. Will it be different? It is too early to give specific details, but the current long-range signals suggest that unsettled weather could well continue into early February. We are not seeing strong indications of a shift to high-pressure dominance. Climate patterns, the North Atlantic Oscillation, the Arctic Oscillation, these are all in phases that tend to favor unsettled weather for the United Kingdom. Without getting too technical, we are not seeing the patterns that typically bring us prolonged cold and settled spells. That does not mean we will not see cold days. We will. That does not mean we will not see snow. We might, particularly in Scotland and on higher ground elsewhere. But the overall theme is changeable and unsettled. Let me give you some practical advice for the next few days. Plan for wet weather. That means proper waterproof clothing, not just water resistant. It means appropriate footwear. It means allowing extra time for journeys because roads will be wet, visibility will be reduced at times, and traffic will likely be slower. If you are driving on Friday in the southwest, be prepared for gusty winds. High-sided vehicles will be affected, motorcyclists will find conditions challenging. Even in a car, a sudden gust can move you across the lane if you are not paying attention. For those in the amber warning area in Scotland, consider whether your journey is essential. If you can postpone travel plans, this might be the week to do it. Flooding can develop quickly. A road that was passable an hour ago might not be passable now. Never drive through floodwater. You cannot tell how deep it is. You cannot tell if the road surface underneath is damaged. It only takes a surprisingly small amount of moving water to move a car. Do not risk it. Keep your mobile phone charged. In a power cut, your phone becomes your lifeline. Have a torch and spare batteries somewhere you can find them in the dark. Have some bottled water and non-perishable food just in case. These are not scare tactics. These are sensible preparations for a period of unsettled and at times severe weather. Most people will not experience any major problems, but for those who do, being prepared makes all the difference. The rain total of 120 millimeters. Let me put that in perspective one more time. If you had a container with a surface area of 1 square meter, that is about 10.5 square feet, you would collect 120 liters of water. That is about 26.5 gallons. From 1 square meter, that is a huge amount of water. Multiply that across every square meter of ground in the affected area, and you can see why flooding becomes such a concern. The ground simply cannot absorb it all. It runs off into streams, rivers, drains, and unfortunately sometimes into properties. The snow aspect, turning from rain at 300 to 400 meters, that is happening because the air temperature drops with altitude. At ground level, it might be 5 or 6 degrees, quite mild, really. But go up to 400 meters and suddenly you are at freezing or below. This creates interesting but sometimes hazardous conditions. Drive from Aberdeen up into the Grampians and you might start in rain and end up in snow within 30 minutes. That requires you to adjust your driving completely. It requires your vehicle to be properly equipped. As we head into the weekend, those easterly winds across the north bring a maritime influence. The North Sea at this time of year is cold, around 7 or 8 degrees Celsius typically. When wind blows off water that temperature, it feels cold. Add in moisture from the sea, and you get showers. On the coast, these will be rain. A bit inland, and with any elevation, sleet or snow. The contrast between north and south this weekend will be noticeable. Southern areas continue to see those Atlantic systems, milder but wetter and windier. Northern areas see that colder easterly feed, feeling much colder, but perhaps not quite as wet. This is the beauty and frustration of United Kingdom weather. Such a small geographical area, but such variety in conditions. What is happening in Cornwall can be completely different to what is happening in Caithness. That is why your local forecast matters. That is why I want you to comment below with your location. General forecasts give the broad picture, but your specific area might have local effects that make a difference. Valley fog in some areas, Friday morning could be thick and persistent. If you are driving in foggy conditions, use dipped headlights, not full beam. Keep your distance from the vehicle in front. Reduce your speed appropriately. Do not use rear fog lights unless visibility is seriously reduced below 100 meters. The clearest slot Thursday night is brief. Enjoy it if you see it, but do not be fooled into thinking the unsettled weather is over. That next system is already approaching from the west. Cornwall, the Isles of Scilly. You are in the firing line first on Friday. The rain and wind arrive by morning. Through the day, it spreads across Devon, Somerset, Dorset. Wales sees it through Friday. By Friday evening, it is affecting more central and northern areas. This is how these systems work. They sweep in from the Atlantic, track eastwards or northeastwards, and affect different areas at different times. The western side of the country sees them first. The eastern side sees them later, often in a weakened state, but not always. Wind and rain together have a cumulative effect. One or the other is manageable. Both together, especially for day after day, becomes wearing. It affects mood, it affects energy levels. Make sure you are getting enough rest, eating properly, staying hydrated. These things matter when the weather is challenging. For elderly relatives or vulnerable neighbors, check on them. Make sure they are warm enough, have enough food, can get their medications if needed. Community matters during challenging weather. The forecast for the next 72 hours is clear. For eastern Scotland, amber rain warning, over 120 millimetres of rain, snow over higher ground, onshore winds bringing large waves. For the rest of Scotland and northern England, heavy rain at times, significant accumulations. For Wales and southwest England, very wet and windy on Friday. For central and eastern England, continuing unsettled conditions with outbreaks of rain and showers. Into the weekend, a split develops. Northern areas see more of that easterly influence, bringing a colder feel and wintry showers to coasts. Southern areas continue with Atlantic systems bringing rain and wind. Next week, the models are showing less certainty. The cold snap that was hinted at has backtracked. Unsettled conditions likely continue, but exact details remain unclear beyond the weekend. This is your comprehensive weather breakdown. This is what you need to know to plan your next few days safely and sensibly. Comment below right now. Tell me where you are watching from. Tell me what you are seeing outside your window at this very moment. Let us build a real-time picture of conditions across the United Kingdom. Stay safe out there, stay informed, check the forecast regularly, take the warning seriously, and we will get through this unsettled spell together. The weather will improve eventually. It always does. But right now, for the next 72 hours,